This is a Stop Playing podcast with Sham and Shaka. I'm Sham.
I'm Shaka. What's going on, Sham?
Man, it's literally 2 days before the end of the year's over.
Yeah, December the 30th, man. New Year's Eve tomorrow night.
That's what's going on.
You know, I've always said I like this time of year, and I do. My birthday is by far the best time of the year for me, and Thanksgiving, of course. But New Year's Eve is up there. New Year's Eve is number 2. Now, this one is going to be completely the opposite of how I'm normally used to spending New Year's Eve, because I won't be going anywhere. I meant to tell you actually before the show, I'm going to try to set up a Zoom room and have people come in and out. So I'm working on that. I'll send you the details.
You love the Zoom rooms with the coming in and out.
Yes. And I think tomorrow, some people are still going out, man. I'm talking to people. I'm like, what are your plans for New Year's? Thinking that was like a formality. And they were like, I don't know. I haven't made up my mind. Made up my mind on what?
What is there to make
Yeah.
what you got options?
Yeah, some people acting like they got options. They're going out. Yeah. So, but for those who are not, which hopefully is most people, I'm going to set up a Zoom, and you're welcome to come in and out, unless you have plans.
No. Yeah. Typically, I don't. Like, I'm not the go out for New Year's Eve. Like, a couple times I was out of the country because I went on trips. But like, as far as like getting all dressed up, New Year's Eve, and I think
we talked about it on the show. Yeah,
the most expensive night of the year.
You have gone on this. I won't call it a rant, but you have made this point quite well.
Like, for what?
Yeah. Well, and I think previously I've talked about it too. What I try to do is find somewhere I can get a hookup. Because to your point, if you're just going there cold, no, it's a ripoff. Because it's the same places you would normally go,
right?
But for way more, they charge way more.
And I'm a woman, and in most places, during any other time of the year, I don't have to pay for anything because ladies get in free a lot of places.
Yeah, my last 2 New Year's have been spectacular. Yeah. It's all about the people you're with, too. Have fun.
Last year, I think I was just with my mom. And the year before, I was in Berlin with millions of people, which was disgusting. So, hey. Yeah.
Well, appropriate to the theme, and obviously you'll tell everybody where they can find us and all that, but we're going to do a little something different with this show. It's the end of the year, and it's the end of our season. And, it's been a unique season because it's been a unique year, but I think and we'll talk about a lot of that. It's been a very good season for us. And we're like building, and then coming on the precipice. And then we got some things coming up that, I'm looking forward to as well. But where can people find us, Sham?
They can find us at www.stopplayinpodcast.com, which will transition you to all the podcast platforms that you can find us on, along with YouTube. And also, Podbean, who is our host, has featured us this week on their main page. So if you go on to Podbean, we are front and center, which was very cool of them to do.
Absolutely.
And we've gotten a lot of subscribers from that feature.
Absolutely. Podbean, shout out. Hey, Podbean, listen, we've been happy. We were promised a free feature because you guys have liked this for a long time, and you guys kept your word. That's what I told Sham. But they've been great. They've been great. So thanks for that. Sham, you talked about the year a little bit. I mean, what are some of the things that jumped out to you about this year?
Coronavirus.
Right. That little thing. Good gracious.
A whole pandemic.
That thing, man. Hopefully we can look back on the year. I mean, it's going to go into next year clearly, but we can kind of say, okay, 2020 was the year of that. Hopefully, right?
Well, yeah, I honestly think it's probably going to go into 2022. But hope for the best. What's been remarkable though about this year is, with the pandemic happening, is like how so many people got come ups just through kind of like necessity, or just, you know what I'm saying? Like, like D Nice. Like, when was the last time you heard? I mean, granted, D Nice is a whole legend out here. Let's be clear. But he just straight one day just decided, you know what? Everybody at home, just gonna be on my Instagram live.
Exactly.
And I'm just gonna start playing music. And there was straight quarantine parties like every other night because D Nice just decided to just record him DJing at home. Like, that was crazy to me.
Yeah, he was a legend, but he wasn't at the forefront of the conversation currently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what else was great this year? All of the versus
battles. That's when you started saying that, that's what made me think of it.
All the versus battles that came out of us having to stay at home and I say semi-quarantine because some people were still out and about. Yeah. But the versus battles have been excellent. My favorite one by far was the Snoop DMX one.
Snoop DMX, I think we've both been clear about that. And the versus battle was a good way, without it turning into an argument for like our generation and even the generation before us and maybe a little bit after us, but to talk to the current generation, like, this is what we like. Like, without it turning into an argument like, oh, your music is trash and blah, 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 blah. They saw us get excited about it and they would get on like, oh, okay. That's why Snoop has his own show. Like, this kind of thing, So it was cool. It was really cool. Yeah, great point. Yep.
It has been said that Snoop is probably the most recognizable hip hop artist in the world.
Yep.
And
I would agree with that.
I can't find a reason to argue with that at all.
Because if you think about everybody that's in the world right now, our generation is middle-aged now. And
so I'm not middle-aged. What are you talking about?
Sure. Of course. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. So if you're not middle-aged, then I certainly am not.
You aren't either. Get out of here.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, our age and everyone older than us, and then the young people still see him on TV, and even if they didn't listen to his music now, maybe they did. And he still makes music. So, yeah, that's the other thing.
Facts. Did you ever? So I never saw this, but apparently the verses between Jeezy and Gucci Mane.
So I did not see it, but man, and I don't think we really had a chance to talk about it, but I didn't know the backstory between them.
I still don't.
Did you know all that stuff?
I still don't.
Well, okay, here's the gist that I know. I forget which one did which, so I wasn't prepared for this conversation, but one of them, I'm pretty sure it's Jeezy, killed a friend of the other one, of Gucci.
What?
So I may have that backwards. And I think what happened was it was a beef, but I don't even think it was over music. It was like just some street thing. And the guy was trying to kill. So let's just say it's Gucci, fine. And I need to get my facts straight. And I will revisit this because that's too serious to get wrong and for me to retract. But the point being, one of them had a friend who attacked the other one, and that person killed the friend in self-defense.
Ooh.
Now, so that happened years ago.
Okay.
And since then, whatever. I mean, they've been beefing. Okay. And he got cleared, clearly.
Well, yeah, nobody's in jail.
Right.
Well, Gucci was, but
not for that.
Yeah.
Leading up to this, when it was suggested that they would do a versus, one of them taunted the other one about this. He was like, your friend's in the ground. Like, boom, boom, boom. And that's how I started digging into it, because I saw the taunt and people were talking about like, yo. And then people were like, yo, how can you do a versus like with under these circumstances? But apparently I still didn't see it, but apparently, they kind of touched on it, but not really. And then they did the verses and they went at each other about money and stuff like that. And a lot of people were debating about
ugly. It got ugly doing the verses because they were in the same room.
And that was the other thing. It was like, if there was ever a time to not be in the same room, this will be those circumstances. Yes.
Yeah. And then I guess they both had like huge entourages and it was a whole like social distancing nightmare. But yeah, I never went back to watch it, and I saw it on YouTube. And I was like, oh, I'm going to watch it later. And I just never did. But that was interesting.
Yes.
Two other verses that stick out in my head. Definitely Brandy and Monica. I think that was one of the most anticipated ones out there. Because from jump, everybody was like, Brandy and Monica, Brandy and Monica. Just because of kind of the energy that they had. One more so than the other. Apparently Monica just hauled and slapped Brandy one time backstage. But
are you serious?
Yeah, that kind of got brought up.
When?
During the verses.
Are you serious? When you say slap, you mean it?
Yeah, no, she slapped her.
So they don't like each other?
Well, it was more like Monica didn't like Brandy more so than Brandy not liking Monica. It was kind of one of those things, like, which is interesting because Brandy's older. Like,
I view them as contemporaries, though.
I know, but
yeah,
in my mind, I'm like, look,
how much older is she than Monica? Because I don't feel like that much.
No, like a couple years.
Yeah, I feel like the difference is like between me and you. Like,
yeah, but I know that I'm older than you, and I would consider you my little brother. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that is how you look at it.
Exactly.
For better, for worse. Yeah.
But
keep going.
But like, hey, that's my little brother. But so for me, I'm like, look, what you not gonna do? but Brandy apparently is not like that. She's more free spirited and like flower child, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it came up midway through when Monica was talking her game about one of the songs, and she was like, yeah, because I'll slap a bitch. And then I guess Brandy was like you did me, or you, or something like that. And it kind of slipped out. It wasn't like one of those, I'm coming at you with this type thing. And then like it was told later, I think Dallas Austin went on some video show and was like, yeah, they were backstage at an event, and Brandy had said something to Monica, and then Monica just slapped her.
Wow. That's crazy. I had no idea until you said. And just going back real quick, because I had the obligation to get it straight. Long story short, one of Jeezy's crew did a home invasion on Gucci. And it wasn't just him, it was like a group. And Gucci shot back in the home invasion and killed him.
As he should have.
And, the two of them had collaborated. They're both obviously from Georgia or whatever. And so at first they had collaborated, but then they just start beefing, whatever. And so that's the story. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Break into my house. Yeah, I'm going to shoot you.
So.
Can't be mad at him for that.
And Jeezy, and Gucci, Jeezy has denied having involvement in the home invasion. So he's saying like they did this on their own. I don't even know if he's going as far as to say they didn't even know it was your house, whatever. They were just on some street stuff. And so therefore he can kind of claim some distance from the actual crime. But there it is. Yeah. So,
all right.
Yep. Crazy, right? And these two men did a verses together. So to loop back to your point about how crazy verses has been. But yeah, versus that was a great development. What else jumps out? But yeah, versus was great. That was really great.
Gosh, what else jumps out? The fact that there was no NCAA tournament is
absolutely. That was major. Matter of fact, that was pretty much the only sporting event, because everything else has been kind of moved around, of that magnitude that just didn't happen.
Dissipated.
Yeah. And the only reason was because of the timing. I mean, if everything else, the powers that be, so to speak, had an opportunity to plan it and move it around, but there was just, you can't move that. You could, but because I remember at the time there was consideration of making it in May.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Like it was a very immediate consideration. Like, we're going to postpone until May. And then when people like the next day, when people were like, that's not going to work because this is not getting better anytime soon.
Right.
Yeah.
And also when you think about college basketball, there's too many moving parts. It's not like you could take all 64 teams and put them in a bubble. They ain't a bubble that big.
Number one. Number two, I remember when they were talking about it, and ironically, one of the pieces of logic was, well, these are college kids. You can't just move stuff around because of the pandemic for sports. They still have to go to school. And then what did football do? But I remember at the time when it first came out, before people when everyone, there was a singular moment in time where everyone was taking this seriously. It was a very brief moment, but it existed. And at that moment, that's when the NCAA tournament was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I remember the logic. People were like, you can't do that with college kids. Just move stuff around for money. They still have to go to school. And it was like, yeah, we forgot about that like in April.
Well, I guess what they could have done was made like 4 bubbles, north, sure, south, east, and west, and just had everybody in that same bubble until the final 4.
Actually, Sham, I think that was a like an idea that was thrown out as well. But then they probably just couldn't make it work. It was
it was just too much. It was
too hard. Yeah. And on top of that, actually, okay, I think the biggest one too, the conference tournaments hadn't been played yet.
Oh, that's right. They canceled the ACC tournament. I remember that.
Right. So they were like, we can't even decide like who's going to get in. So since we haven't done that, it's going to be too hard to do everything else. And then actually, I remember us talking about on the show where we were like, so then they did that crazy thing where they still did a selection show and were letting people in who hadn't even like played in their conference tournaments, which is basically how the last 15, 20, if not more than that, teams get in based on their performance in that. So yeah, it was just fake all around. And they said it, we wanted to do it to give the kids something. It's like, the kids are going to look at that like, this is trash.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we didn't even play. That's a participation trophy. Yeah, but no, I forgot about that as I was thinking about all this stuff. Yeah, man, they really canceled the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that was crazy. And then
that is crazy.
Then they canceled every spring sport after that. Mm-hmm. Like, folks was just out here like, dang.
Yep. But with the other spring sports, because I do remember they were playing college the World Series still happened. The college World Series still happened. It just happened later. And finally on that point with the NCAA tournament, the NBA was the first kind of major entity in sports to cancel stuff.
Mm-hmm.
College basketball followed maybe a week later. But it was the college basketball tournament being canceled that kind of made everybody in society, period, kind of be like, okay.
It made it real.
Yeah, this is now real.
This is a whole crisis.
Even though my job sent me home last week, now this is real. Now this is real. That's America too. That's like America in 2020. Like, my job sent me home last week, but at least I get to watch the tournament. Oh, they canceled the tournament? Wow, something must be really bad.
God bless America.
That's America. But good pull there. Good pull. But yeah, I mean, and it's a few of us. We're going to go back and forth, but any kind of other things that kind of jump in your mind?
The NBA All-Star game was pretty fantastic.
Sam, yes. Go ahead.
That was obviously the first time that they did the new format where they made each quarter purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a charity component, but, that was more so because of the loss of Kobe Bryant, which was pretty devastating.
Absolutely.
Probably the first devastating thing.
Absolutely. It was 3 weeks into the year.
And actually, we talked about that in great detail in our season premiere, I want to say.
It definitely was. Our season's been booking about that.
But I thought that it was fantastic to have them play to a certain point in each quarter, because it made you want to watch the entire game to see what everybody was going to do. And because in the past, they would just play around for the first 3 quarters, and in the fourth quarter, that's when they would start balling real hard. But this format made them ball the entire time, because there was something to win after each quarter. So I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, and by ball, I mean, everything you just said, even in the past, when they would kind of take it seriously, because I mean, there was money on the table. I think the winner would get like, I don't know, 500,000 or something per person. The loser would get like half that or something. I forget what the exact rules were, but they wanted the money, so they would do it. But they would still like do, alley-oops and stuff and kind of just play around. The fourth quarter of this All-Star game was a real basketball game. It was playoff basketball. Like they were like, yo, you know what? We want to win this. There were timeouts. There was intensity. So whoever thought that through, they did a really good job. And I wrote it off. Even when you described it, I knew it was better when you were describing it. But I was like, whatever, man. I had just been so like turned off by the All-Star game. And then when I actually watched it, I was like, man, this is the result of that. Like they really put some thought into this. The players bought in, and this is awesome. So honestly, I think it's been a good year for the NBA. And I know the finals didn't get a lot of good ratings, but the bubble itself was a good PR story. And I think the NBA in general did a lot of good marketing this year under the circumstances. They clearly were the sport that handled the pandemic the best, in my opinion.
True.
Now, granted, they had some things in their favor, but then there's some things not. Like, honestly, what we know about the pandemic now, it's worse to do things in closed spaces. Yeah, they can isolate, but that's not good. That's why they don't want people. Now, they didn't have a lot of people, but the point is they want stuff in open space and outside. So in theory, you would think, okay, well, the NBA probably shouldn't be doing this, but they have managed it better. They have shown thought. And the All-Star break was the first example of that.
Well, they, just piggybacking on your point of them showing thought, like they had tested their players multiple times before they even entered the bubble. Correct. So it was like you had to have like 3 negatives or something like that before you can even come into the bubble. So they were, and of course, it's the NBA. Mighty dollar. They were able to have testing kits available, which a lot of places still didn't have testing kits. But being that they did have them, they used them, and they ended up, they were successful. Like, I think there was like one case. I think like Russ and James Harden had it before they went into the bubble.
Or it was thought. I don't know if that was confirmed. Yeah, they kept getting tested.
Russ was confirmed, but James Harden was not. And
right.
He never confirmed or denied, to be honest.
Correct. Exactly.
But after that, there was nobody. So the bubble was a success.
Yeah, man, Kobe. I wish. For 100 different reasons, I wish Kobe had been around this year. I would love to get his thoughts on. Could you imagine his thoughts during like George Floyd and all that, and the guys were getting ready to leave the bubble to protest? And just in general, Kobe been like, I care about black people too. Well, y'all making excuses. Stay in that bubble and play. Kobe would have loved the bubble. He wasn't playing anymore, but the point is he would have loved the idea. I would have loved to have heard him say, like, I could totally hear Kobe Bryant be like, I wish I could just play basketball in a bubble and not have to go on the road and just hoop.
Oh yeah,
he'd be winning every year.
he'd be scoffing at all of them at the idea of leaving.
Yes.
Kobe was all basketball all the time when
and he's like, yo, he was. I could see Kobe be like, I proposed the idea of a bubble like 10 years ago. Took a pandemic to make it happen. I've been saying we should be doing this.
Yeah, man.
Nah, I definitely miss Kobe, and it brings it back to And man, I listen to our episodes a lot. I really just. I like what we did with our premiere. It's been a good season, and I hated that Kobe died like right before it, but I listen to the episode sometimes just to kind of just refresh my memory of Kobe. So,
yeah, that's cool. So remember, I think the show he had on ESPN Plus before he passed, Detail.
Yes.
I know he would have been breaking down all of this stuff, bubble stuff. So did you know that Vince Carter is now the detail guy?
I did not. What are your thoughts on that?
I like Vince. I've always been a Vince Carter fan, in spite of the fact that he went to North Carolina.
Right.
I've seen him on The Jump a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely got the personality for it. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm interested in seeing how he breaks down the games and the films, because that's essentially what Kobe would do.
Yeah.
He would sit down and watch games and break down plays and, stuff like that. So I'm interested in seeing how Vince Carter approaches that.
Yeah. And, I'm not going to even listen. If I caught it on television, I would certainly watch it, but I'm not going to look for it. But let me know how that is. Look, Vince Carter, what I find fascinating about him is when he first came in the league, I mean, like you say, he'd been to UNC, he's been known, but he was more known for his physical prowess, dunk contests, all that stuff in general. But then you don't stay in the league for 20 years based on your physical prowess. And he certainly was not that person, even after the first few years. So clearly he knows a lot about the game, knew a lot about how to keep himself viable. And therefore, I would expect him to be very insightful when breaking down the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Funny thing about him is, I'm an ACC person. I watch a lot of ACC basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1995, I believe that's when 98, he came out.
Mm-hmm.
It was him and Anton Jameson.
Mm-hmm.
And Anton Jameson was the star. Vince Carter was kind of like the other guy on the team that you knew was good, but nobody was checking for him for real. But everybody knew that this dude could ball. But it was all about Anton Jameson. And I remember saying to myself, man, when they get to the league, Vince Carter is going to be a star.
And you were right.
And
the reason I scoffed when you brought up Anton Jameson's name is because he ended up with my Wizards.
Oh, yes.
For quite a long time.
And he got into that Antoine Walker thing too.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Is he broke?
No, being a power forward and stepping out.
Oh, yeah. Sham, I don't know if I ever told you this. Anton Jameson is one of the people that I used to talk about, and I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, when I used to go to Wizards games and then they would beat me to the club after the game. I definitely ran into him at Dream. He got there well before me.
How did he shower and get there so fast?
Thank you. That shows me how interested you were in that game that y'all just lost by 30 points. Yeah.
They didn't have the post-game talk with the coach and the team.
I used to be baffled. My friends and I come in like, yo, is that Anton? How you be this here? He's in a suit. We just left at that time, whatever, the MCI Center.
They brought his stanky ass in there by helicopter.
Right. Him, Brendan Haywood, and Caron Butler, basically, in the VIP room.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's like no one would know that y'all just got blown out by 30 points tonight. Yeah, whatever.
I'm just trying to figure out the logistics of that. So y'all got off the court, got in the shower, had the team talk, put on a suit, and got to Dream before the...
Now, look, part of that is I was outside freezing my ass off in the cold while they escorted y'all through the back. But still, the point being, I shouldn't be able to see you in the club. I just came from the arena.
Gosh, Dream. Couple NBA players I saw at Dream. Allen Iverson and Tracy McGrady.
Yeah.
I literally walked up to Tracy McGrady, stood within this much in front of him, faced the chest and was like, how you just going to leave Orlando and go to Houston?
You really said that?
Yes, I did. I was mad.
Sham, you one of those people. What did he say?
He just was standing there smiling. He had a hand, his hand was on his face like this. And he just looked at me smiling. He was like, I had to do what I had to do.
Nice to meet you too, man.
He was laughing. Yeah. He was really nice about it though.
I'm sure he was. He seems like a cool guy. Actually, it's funny you talking about him because aren't they cousins? Him and Vince Carter?
Yes, they are.
Yeah. That's cool though. But yeah, let me know how that show is. A lot of good entertainment stuff this year too, Sham. I know you've been keeping up with a lot of more, especially network stuff, but anything jump out?
I mean, not really. Lori Loughlin got out of jail yesterday.
Yo, the other night, man, you want to tell me I've been keeping up with. I was like, hey, Becky out of jail. Look at her. And look, I've been following reports. They were like, "Yo, she went in there, kept her little head down." I can see Becky going in there like making friends and stuff, and coming out there like, "Yo, if anybody screws with me, I got my homegirls in jail. She's gonna get out in a year." I can see her doing some stuff like that. But Sham, mark my words, that woman will not stop until she's back on Hallmark. And look, the way the pandemic is set up, Hallmark can talk all that trash that they want. They put out all that kind of product. If they feel like she can redeem herself, I can see Aunt Becky coming to them like, look, let me come to y'all and make a movie about how somebody got her daughter into college, went to jail, came out a better person.
They ain't already do that movie on Lifetime? I'm surprised.
That's what I'm saying. Hallmark Lifetime, she gonna make some money. She's too smart.
Yeah, her 2-month stint in Club Fed is over.
Her husband has another 4 months.
Oh, poor him.
Yeah, and meanwhile, their daughter, like, you can buy a word from her about her parents. She was like, she don't care at all. But anyway, yeah, she's out. If I can jump in, a big story to me about entertainment in general this year, and we saw it bear out towards the end of the year, is the adjustment they had to make for streaming.
Yes.
So the last month or 2 months, especially HBO making their decisions, Disney before that with Mulan, and then HBO making their decision about, first it started with Wonder Woman, but now they're going to do it with basically everything, to just say, look, you know what? As you said earlier, this pandemic is probably going to last through next year. People are not going to go back to theaters in the numbers they went through anytime soon. So we need to just start releasing stuff out of the can. And now they're planning stuff. They're like, look, we're going to do any DC movie. I saw that. It's going on Warner Brothers. They're doing the same thing they did with Wonder Woman. Sham, have you seen Wonder Woman?
I have not yet. So that ends that discussion.
Okay. No spoilers about the movie, but have you seen the reviews? I have seen the movie.
Everybody said it was terrible. So that's why I'm no rush. So
yeah.
I'm
don't rush yourself.
My time.
Don't rush yourself.
Like, I thought it would be like a little cute, like, weekend thing to do. And I was like, after I saw people hating on it, I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. And again,
but I still love Gal Gadot.
Oh, and honestly, you will love her as much, if not more. She was fine. The acting was fine. Anyone you like, Pedro Pascal.
Your boy.
My boy. He was, what he was asked to do, he was good in it. But the reviews, the only thing I'll say about the reviews is that I think the real reason they did themselves a very big disservice. They jumped out there with some of the initial critics, but it was only a handful. And the initial critics made it sound like it was the best thing since sliced bread right before it came out. And so it made everyone rush to, I watched it on Christmas. And it was like, what the hell were these people talking about?
I was afraid.
And that was everyone's reaction.
Because I didn't want there to be a Disney Plus situation where everybody was jumping on trying to watch it and crash. So I was like, I knew I wasn't going to watch it on Christmas, but I figured I would watch it sometime during the weekend. And I was like, well, HBO Max ain't going nowhere.
By the way, you brought him up, or I brought him up, but you say he's my boy, and he is. Mandalorian. You and I have a brief exchange about it, but I stand by what I said. Like, you ask anybody, The Mandalorian this year, like, that was Emmy-winning television. You don't even gotta be in the Star Wars. And the only thing that's funny about it, Pedro Pascal was on some kind of Zoom call. Promoting it, and somebody asked him about the old helmet thing, and he tried to deny it. But the way he denied it, like, everybody was like, "Nah, you were tripping for real. Like, you were."
No, it's well documented.
Yeah. You were tripping. You went up to George Lucas on set. Like, there's no getting away from that. Stop. But yeah, it was great.
Speaking of streaming, what was like the biggest show on streaming during the pandemic?
Tiger King?
You know it.
Yeah, I was about to say. Okay. the way you asked, I was like, okay, she's talking about Tiger. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I still have not watched it, have no plans to watch it. But the impact that show had on America.
Yo, let me tell you something, man. The memes from Tiger King. I mean, Sham, it crossed over to a show you do watch. Anytime they ask Carol Baskin, who, I mean, on what basis are they asking to get on Dancing with the Stars?
Right.
It's like, yeah, people. Sham, you're so right. Tiger King is everything that's wrong with America, and I put myself included. Because if you had just told me about it, I'd been like, that sounds like the dumbest thing ever. And then somebody, I forget who, convinced me to watch it. And once I watched the first one, it was 5 episodes. I was like, okay, I'm watching the rest of this. Like, how can you not? Like, it draws you in immediately. And how ridiculous it is. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, it's the absolute most ridiculous thing ever. Yeah, it really is. But yes, Tiger King, the year of the Tiger King, for real. and meanwhile, Tiger King is in prison. That's what 2020 is in a nutshell. Like, the guy who it's about is in jail right now. Yeah, as he should be, but still. Yeah, that was a big one. Yeah, I mean, in general, streaming. I mean, just.
Yeah, streaming has been huge.
And just the approach, the studios and what they've done. And now you have a situation in which, you know, Disney is really, I call them Standard Oil at this point. What J.D. Rockefeller was doing with Standard Oil was like, look, it's called Standard Oil because there's literally nobody else. So we're just going to buy up every single thing and become a monopoly. But Disney owns everything.
I want them to put all of the Fox stuff on Disney Plus and the FX stuff. Like, that's what I'm waiting for.
It's coming. It's coming. They basically announced that on that call where they said the price of the brick going up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think by March or April, I want to say.
But it's only going up $1.
Yeah, but that's the beginning. And you and I talked about it. I don't want. That's not. They don't need to increase that. That's just they're making excuses to gouge. So,
oh yeah, of course, because more people.
Did you cancel Netflix yet?
No.
And you and I talked about it, Sham. You've been grandfathered into a bad deal. Cancel it.
Yeah, but I'm like 5 years into this now.
Exactly, Sham. You're giving me all the reasons why you should call them and say okay. Let me rephrase. Call them and say you're canceling. I guarantee you by the end of that call, you will have a better deal because you're a 5-year customer.
Oh, no, I'm a longer than that customer.
Oh, okay. I thought whatever. Yeah. Give them a call and just let it go from there. Say I'm canceling my service and tell me what happens after that. That's all I'm saying.
Is T-Mobile still giving out Netflix for free?
I am a T-Mobile customer, but I didn't see that recently. Oh. I remember when they were doing that, but I thought that was temporary. But I'm not sure.
Well,
I do a horrible job of checking in on T-Mobile Tuesdays. I need to do better. The last time I checked, it was for Burger King, and there's like one Burger King in the DC area right now, which is crazy to me. But
it's literally like Burger King on there every week.
Right. So
and Shell gas stations, but I buy a lot of gas, so I'm good on that one.
Right. But yeah, I mean, you didn't really get to see good movies. Although what you did see was a lot of the stars understanding that, okay, we can't go to the studios. So like Chris Hemsworth in that big action movie, I forget what it was called on Netflix, like
Extraction.
Thank you, and I saw it too, and it was good. The stars were like, we gotta make our bag. Let's get in this thing. Mm-hmm. TV networks kind of finally adjusted. You watched a lot of the, what's called the Chicago, not Will. I said Will before, and you were like, what are you talking about?
No.
But the Chicago, right?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of those shows started actually acknowledging the pandemic. So that was good. So yeah, Hollywood going to keep making his money somehow.
Well, let me just start by saying I'm here for anything Chris Hemsworth decides. I saw Extraction, and I thought it was okay. There's a sequel coming. I don't know how that's going to happen if you saw the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's funny. Chicago PD is on right now. They have not addressed it. But most of the medical shows have. All of like your Grey's Anatomies, your Chicago Meds. Like, though the medical shows have definitely addressed COVID.
Yeah.
But other than that, like, how about Tom Cruise? Did you hear about Tom Cruise last week?
I did. And I'm glad we're talking about it because that story has taken a couple of loose twists and turns. So what's your understanding of that story at this point?
My understanding of that story is that somebody on the low end of the filmmaking spectrum did not follow protocols, and Tom Cruise lost his mind, a la jumping on Oprah's couch, but 10 times worse.
Right.
And I heard the recording, and this is on a set of the latest Mission Impossible.
Correct.
I heard the recording of him just going ham on the whole crew, just screaming and yelling at the top of his lungs. That's my synopsis.
So I have not heard the recording, but I've read the transcript. So a little reverse sometimes of what we do. And everything you said, I believe it was two people. So there were two members of the crew who were talking to each other without masks on set. Is what I heard caused this. And then he flips out on him. And here's the interesting part to me. When I read the transcript, and I probably, to your point, I probably should have listened to it, because when I read the transcript, I was like, well, everything he's saying makes sense. So in theory, yeah, he probably shouldn't have like spazzed on him. But it's Tom Cruise. So like, he's going to do that. He's a Kirk box.
Oh, your man's was screaming at the top of his lungs. Yeah. Like it was great. Like it was more the delivery that people were like, okay, Tom, calm down. But also no, because sometimes you need that kind of energy to get people to realize the gravity of what they're doing. Okay.
Now here's the second part. A lot of stars supporting, like George Clooney and all them. They was like, yeah, what he said makes sense. Because he basically was like, look, we are filming right now, and in the middle of this pandemic, and what you're doing is endangering that and endangering the ability of other, studios and everything to film, because people are looking at us as an example of how to do things successfully and follow protocol and keep this business moving in this pandemic. And that's a very, very short summary of what he said. And when I was reading it, I was like, okay, good. Because I've spazzed on people not wearing masks and stuff. Then, Sham, guess who I went to for a quote? Leah Remini. This is where it gets interesting.
Why does Scientology have to be wrapped into this?
Because here's the synopsis of what she said. Who cares about what he said? He spazzed out on them. And some of the language he was using was the exact same language that the current head of Scientology uses pre-pandemic when he spazzes out on people. And he was like, and she was like, and Scientology was, now look, they're not alone in this, but when the pandemic first started and when the virus started, they called it a hoax, like point blank. They were like, the coronavirus is a hoax, it's a scam, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, so honestly, there's a couple things here. Number one, when the current head of Scientology like has problems with some of his upper echelon people, he actually calls Tom Cruise, because they're friends, and he has Tom Cruise go and spaz on people like this about anything. It doesn't even have to be about the pandemic. She was like, it's documented, and I could play tapes and all that too. And she was like, and number two, Scientology is trying to use Tom Cruise doing this as a PR move to position themselves better, because they are on record as calling the coronavirus a hoax. And now that clearly has now borne out, they want to now use him to get out in front and get on the right side of history, basically. So as with everything, there's always something. Go to Lynn Remini for a quote anytime Tom Cruise flips out. And she was like, and I got receipts.
Jesus.
It could never be good, right? Because I was like, oh, look at Tom Cruise. I know he flipped out, whatever. That's an easy story. But he's right. Then I read her quote, was like, you know what? Yeah, okay. Now we back to normal.
I mean, I believe that some of what she's saying may be true. But
truth is in the middle.
At the heart of it, it's very good words.
Absolutely.
Everything he said is still valid.
Sham, what do we say all the time? Both things could be true.
Yes.
There was nothing wrong in what he said.
No.
Yeah. So I just thought it was funny that she chimed in like, wait a minute. Oh man. Good celebrity stories. And we've talked about a few. The Fresh Prince reunion, reconciliation of Will Smith and Janet Hubert Whitten. I hope I said that right.
Mm-hmm.
You and I throughout the entire podcast, even before this year, talked about reboots. There've been a lot of good reboots.
Tons of reboots.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know about you, but I'll speak for myself. The worm is turning for me on reboots. I'm more open-minded to it than I think I was. I think my natural inclination before was why? Don't do it. But the way that some of these have been done, I'm now more open-minded to it.
So I think I might have said this before. I'm more for reboots than remakes. Like, I think so. I don't know this to be like the actual definition, but in my mind, I feel like reboots kind of take characters from the past and kind of renew them, reinvent them, and or like kind of continue from where the show was. Whereas a remake just like, takes the story and just puts new players in it and doesn't change from or deviate from what it originally was. In my mind, that's what those two things mean. Like the Party of Five remake was like, okay, we just took another Party of Five, changed it a little, but it's basically these kids having to survive on their own. And
when you take an idea and put different people in it, as opposed to taking the same people.
Exactly. Now, if it was a Party of Five reboot, then you would have had them older. You would have had their kids. Like, so that's why I think I prefer
That's a good explanation.
Reboots rather than remakes.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I meant to ask you, did you see, I forget the name of the show, but Hilary Duff, the show that she...
Lizzie McGuire, she's supposed to have a reboot, but I've been waiting for it to premiere.
Oh, okay. I thought I sent it to you, and I apologize. That's deaded.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry to break it to you on the show. She put out something. This was maybe 2 weeks ago, and I swore I thought I sent it to you, but maybe I didn't. I apologize because I meant to, because I heard you talking about her. She put out a statement, and she basically, was like, look, I tried, but the studio actually, okay, nail the whole thing, because I did read the whole story. Synopsis, and it ties back to what we were talking about. She said that she was trying, everyone would be an adult. So you had described it before when the idea was talked about. Everyone was an adult. She said that Disney had a problem with doing adult things with Lizzie McGuire. And so at first,
she was trying to get it moved to Hulu instead of
on
Disney.
There it is. Thank you. You're caught up. And she was like, the only reason it even took this long for me to announce it is because that's what I kept pushing. And they wouldn't do it. And she was like, and I'm really frustrated because they're moving everything else to Hulu anyway, like all the shows that they don't own. So they could have just did this. But she was saying Disney considers that its own in-house property and doesn't want to move it to Hulu to make it work. So she was very frustrated. But
they rebooted that, so Raven turned it into Raven's home. Raven is a single mother raising twin children, but they couldn't do anything to accommodate Lizzie McGuire and Hilary Duff.
So, what's the difference? Interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can make the Black Star a single mother. That's more credible. We don't care about, in our eyes, tarnishing her image. But if we have Lizzie McGuire, a golden white girl out here doing adult things, in our eyes, that tarnishes her image. Let Raven Simone, she want to be a single mother like all Black women are in our eyes, go ahead.
That's wiggity,
in my opinion, that's in my opinion,
whack.
In my opinion, that's the logic difference. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry to break it to you on the show, but yeah, like I said, I thought I'd send it to you. I apologize.
Well,
but
I still have Punky Brewster, I hope.
Maybe,
because that hasn't appeared either, and that was supposed to air in July.
Yep.
So,
I know we've covered. We kind of went over a myriad of our favorite stuff. I'll talk. Obviously, we're not going to do the normal politics stuff, but look, we had the impeachment, we had the election, So, look, beginning of the year, end of the year, basically, and the campaign in between. My Jones for politics, basically, I was just knee deep in every aspect of it. At the end of the year, we got the result we wanted. Sham, did you see the news today, though? One of the senators, so 45 has been challenged in the election. And it's all still baseless, of course. The whole thing was, okay, you got people in the House that said, okay, on the 5th, January 5th, we're going to have like a challenge in Congress to overturn the Electoral College. But in order to make it work, they got to get one person from the House and one person from the Senate. And Mitch McConnell would come out there and say, senators, Republicans, do not do this, because that will then force us to be out here arguing about it all day. And we're going to have to vote against it. And so it's a waste of time. The one person everybody thought was going to do it was Tommy Tuberville, who, Sham, I still can't believe that man won the election. He can't even win the SEC. He won the election. Tommy Tuberville is a senator. So they kept saying, 45 and everybody kept saying he would do it. I forget the senator's name, but another senator has come out and said he's going to do it. He's going to challenge it. So now on the 5th, the runoff in Georgia is the 5th. On the 6th, we're going to have a challenge of the Electoral College's decision on the floor of the Capitol. And it's going to take up all day. And it'll be a complete waste of time. But it's a further example of how 45 still is pushing things and controlling his party and just throwing the whole government into chaos. So that'll happen next year, but that's basically an example of what he did this year, leading up to his defeat in the election and beyond it. And that's really politics in the year. And the pardons. Everybody that we thought would be pardoned has been pardoned. He definitely did that. But yeah. Sham, we said it before on the show. I don't think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris should have won Person of the Year. I think it should have been Uncle Tony, personally.
I said from jump he should have been Person of the Year.
Yeah. It should have been him. There could be other people. His birthday was on Christmas Eve. He turned 80. You saw that?
Uncle Tony is 80?
Yes. I didn't know he was that old either.
I thought he was like 65.
Oh, he's been around for a minute. He's been in that role. I don't know if they're at the head of it, but he's worked within the NIH and diseases and all that for 40 years. Yeah. They showed him as a young Uncle Tony. Basically is the same, just with white hair. He looked the same. It looked like you spray painted his hair black.
Yeah, he looks very young. He doesn't look 80.
Yeah. So his birthday's on Christmas Eve, and he only spent it with his wife. He said because his daughters live like across the country. And he was like, this is the first Christmas Eve he's never spent with his children. He was trying to get people not to travel because he wasn't traveling and he didn't have them travel, and nobody listened. Which is also a theme in 2020. Yeah,
no one listened all year. So there's that.
No one listens to any. Yep.
Anybody who actually knows.
Correct.
No one listens to the scientists.
Correct.
So for me, some of the most interesting things about the political year, my favorite by far was the TikTok troll.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a gem.
That is such a gem.
That's a gem. It really is.
Generation Z was
the
like,
Zoomers.
We can't vote, but we could do this.
We can definitely troll. I mean, when whoever that was, I want to say it was Steve Schmidt, said, my daughter and her 4 friends got together and bought 1,000 tickets. He was in awe. This was a man who ran a political campaign himself and was still just in awe. And that tells you all you need to know. That's awesome. Got Brad Pascal fired.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. One of my favorite stories of the year. There's no question. No question about that one. So Sham, one of the latecomers, and maybe it's recency effect, I don't know, but it's a remarkable story. The story you brought to my attention, the guy in Belgium at the sex party. he is definitely a contender for his story. I should say is one of the contenders for best political stories. I love that. Oh, the Iowa caucus flame out, and somebody, I don't think it was 45, but somebody called it the Fire Fest of caucuses. I just love that. I just love that.
Michael Bloomberg dropping out of the race.
Oh my God.
And then and then the $2 bill.
The $2. The $2. Everybody can either get $1 million or $2.
Well, what's funny is you had intelligent people on TV trying to do this math and not doing it right.
I'm doing entire segments. They did a 10-minute segment and I watched them do it. And it was like, nobody's stopping them. What's going on? Nah, spectacular. Spectacular. The debates were just theater.
The White House press briefings were.
Some of them, lack thereof. But yes, once they start resuming, yes. Oh, those were barn burners.
They were absolute campaigning moments for 45.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. when he did the little slideshow and all that, the coronavirus briefings in general, when they started, yes, injecting bleach.
Yes, go ahead and get you a cup of that bleach. Take that down. Chase it with some Lysol.
You can inject bleach right now, right? Can't you?
She looked at him like, no, don't look at me.
You can't. But please don't ask me that.
Take the camera off of me right now.
Take the camera off of me right now.
Dr. Burks. She was like, yeah, no.
Joe Biden saying that he worked with the only black woman to ever be in the Senate when his future vice presidential candidate, who is a black woman in the Senate, was standing right next to him. And the look on his face after it was pointed out when she said, I'm standing right here.
Also, you are not black if you don't vote for me.
I mean, right. And actually, you said that more eloquently because correct grammar is your natural state. He said, if you ain't black, vote for me, you ain't black. You ain't black. And I'm going to say ain't because that's how y'all talk. And then, listen, making up for it by pounding the podium when he had his victory speech, like the black people came through for me, basically.
Yeah. South Carolina came through for me.
Mm-hmm. South Carolina. Yeah, Mayor Pete got a new little job. He's the transportation secretary.
Man, I knew when they announced that. I said, that's why the fix is in. Like, when he dropped out, everybody was so disappointed. I was like, man, he dropping out because he about to get a job.
And I didn't say her name in the previous episode. Sidney Powell going up on stage after the election with Rudy Giuliani, who himself has now become just a complete joke, and saying, I want to start this by saying this election was decided by voting machines that were manipulated by Hugo Chavez, who has been dead
100 years.
Forever. And she said that with a straight face. And after that press conference, they were like, we're crazy, but she's crazier. We can't be associated with her. Yeah, just stuff like that, man. Listen, anytime 45 is involved, wild political year, man. It really is. And what I know, 45 is not going anywhere in the sense that, I've heard talks that he's talking about not like actually leaving the house, which if 45 could give me that last piece of pleasure and be forcibly removed from the White House, I will stop what I'm doing to watch that. But either way, he won't be president. But this year, look, on a serious note, Ruth Bader Ginsburg's passing, the Supreme Court changes, all of those things are serious things that happened this year. One of my favorite things is just the love that was shown for John Lewis, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, those kind of people over this year gave us time to reflect. And Black Lives Matter. I mean, political story, So those are my favorite things.
All of the diverse protests things.
Yes.
And there are many protests, but there was even more white people out there than there were black people, which was awesome to see. Unfortunately, those protests arose out of, a lot of things. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake.
Yep.
The biggest one was George
Floyd. Yeah.
George Floyd.
Yeah.
That was the one that really catapulted everything. So I read on the news today that the Louisville police are pushing to fire 2 of the officers that were involved in Breonna Taylor's shooting and death. So I looked at the screen when I saw that and was like, okay, what the hell took y'all so long?
Right. I mean, didn't that happen in March or April?
It was in the spring.
Yeah. Like 9 months later. Thanks, guys. Pushing for their firing. All of them should be in jail.
I don't know why you pushing for it. Just
what's the push?
Right. They should have. And how about you put some real charges on them?
Yeah, slap some cuffs on them. Then we can talk.
Not the wall was in the way charges. Like what the heck?
Yeah, the white people who live next door who gotta pay for a little bit of paint job on their wall got more justice than Breonna Taylor's family. Stop it. Yeah, but in terms of just to your point, seeing white people come out, march, and in general have a reckoning about America's a racist country. Like being at home made everybody understand, I guess, especially white people. Oh, I guess it really is a racist country. Is it? Yes, it is. Like, yes. So if nothing else, and the ones who wanted to deny it still denied it. But it was like, if nothing else, the spotlight was on racism this year. As it was on a lot of things. Income inequality, all of that. We got food lines and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy. Sham, any stories that you felt like, even if they got covered, didn't get covered enough, or narratives or anything like that, where you felt like, okay, there was some attention to it, but it wasn't made as big of a deal as it should have been, or maybe because of the pandemic and everything else around it, that it got kind of overshadowed?
I think for me, and I'm gonna go back to sports, it was the women's national soccer team. I feel like we talked about it a lot, but it was a big deal when they first brought the suit.
Yeah.
But then it wasn't much follow-up conversation about it. And that's it's still a big deal to me. I feel like that the coverage on that has waned to almost very little. And I don't hear about it unless I look for it, or I don't know anything about it unless I look for it. And I think it's just very telling as to how insignificant they seem to be to anyone until it's World Cup time or the Olympics, and is a symbol of how they're treated within their own federation as well. Like just thrown under the rug.
I could not agree more. Title IX is now like kind of a staple of the social conversation, and that's college. I feel like what's happening with the women's national team is the professional version of Title IX.
That's a good way of putting it.
And it's not treated that way. But in college, Title IX is a big deal. And I mean, everything you just said after that. And look, especially on the heels of what the women did last year. Because that was last year at this point, but it was the perfect time for them to get that suit started, because it was like, here's the example of why we need to get more money and more benefits. I think the Olympics being canceled, even though it was the right thing to do, that's a big deal. The Olympics were canceled. So yeah, I retract my former statement earlier where, the NCAA was like the big thing. The Olympics being canceled is a huge deal.
Yeah, NCAA tournament is small potatoes compared to the Olympics, because that affects everybody in the world.
Yeah, and you know, when I say it didn't get as much attention, look, there was a lot of hand wringing by because it was supposed to be in Tokyo or Hong Kong?
Tokyo.
Okay. Tokyo. And the logic was, okay, Japan, you guys are taking way too long to cancel this because you want to have it, because you know it's a big deal. But then once it happened, it was kind of like, okay, yep, they canceled it, and that's that. I mean, all those athletes, that is a just huge like derailment. You're preparing. The Olympics start usually late July, early August, that kind of thing. To cancel in March, 3-4 months prior, something that you've been preparing for 4 years, throws your whole like life off. And the Olympics are a bubble. That's a natural bubble. So, you know, I'm pretty sure that's probably what took Japan so long. Like, if anybody could pull off a bubble, we could pull off a bubble for this. It's called the Village for a reason. But it just was too serious. And the timing just didn't work.
I think at that time, it just wasn't enough testing available to make sure all the athletes were clear. I think next year, though, they're definitely going to do it next year, regardless. I already know that. They're not going to put it off another year. And while we're talking about that, so even though this isn't like something that happened this year, but I did kind of sleep on this because we didn't discuss the conclusion on the show with Caster Semenya, which concluded earlier this year.
Did it? You're about to break some news to me.
So basically, she lost altogether. Wow. And, you know, the ICE, I can't even get International Athletic Committee.
IAAF or whatever.
IAAF. I think it's even larger than that, like the whole like Olympic thing.
Gotcha.
Just decided like, you know, too bad. So you're either going to not run anymore, or you're going to have to switch your event. So she's been training for the 400 meters or the 200 meters. She couldn't do middle distance events anymore. So she went an event down. So she's been training for that. I think it's the 200 meters, which we'll see.
No, I just thought about what you said though. When you say she lost, so what does that mean? Like, okay. And listen, we've talked about this story, but I just need to be able to quantify what that means. That means that she is not, A, doesn't mean that they're going to retroactively try to take anything she's accomplished. And B, does that mean that they believe that she is a man and will not allow her to compete, or what?
No. So they didn't say anything about retroactively taking anything away from her.
Okay.
Because the rule wasn't in place then. So you can't be like, oh, well, you know, I'm going to take that. But they're not doing that.
Okay.
And they're also not saying she is a man. What they're saying is there are certain women on this planet that are born with natural testosterone levels that are higher than the average woman. And I'm putting up air quotes. So those women who have unnaturally or naturally high testosterone levels, which are beyond what is allowed for them to race, they either need to medically take them down, like take a drug to reduce the testosterone, or they cannot run in middle distance races. Middle distance meaning the 400, 800, 1200, which is not run very often.
Yeah.
So basically the races that she was in.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And there's like 3 other women that are affected by that as well.
That's so crazy.
So the conclusion,
really, I didn't know 3 other women. Wow.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, she's a class action that, but hey, she's probably tired. Is she still playing soccer?
You know what? I don't know. I do not know.
I was happy when she was able to find that kind of other bag about it. But if that case came to fruition this year, then yeah, I mean, which it sounds like it did, then yeah, no. That is very significant to what we were talking about. But yeah, but I mean, look, we were talking about sleeper stories, and there weren't too many sleeper stories this year because everybody was at home. So if something wanted to get covered, it got covered. But there's just some things that didn't get covered enough. The pandemic just put an umbrella over everything. But when I'm looking at like entertainment, one of the things I'm seeing is I don't think it's been talked about enough with the resurgence. We talked about reboots, but the resurgence of people like Eddie Murphy, who we love, coming back to screen. And look, this was happening last year, but it came to fruition this year. Have you seen the Coming to America trailer?
I did. I saw it the second it was released.
What do you think?
Somehow it popped up on my phone, and I was like, "What?" I thought the trailer was cool. It looks pretty good. However, how does he have a son in New York? What was he doing out here in these streets? Like, where was he slinging his thing?
I need that to be answered.
For real, like how he just randomly got a son out here.
And apparently it's through Leslie Jones. Yeah. It wasn't in the trailer, but that's
yeah. And we need to be all over that. And we would have already known about it had they not moved it to March. Because it's supposed to come out 2 weeks ago.
You know what? It would have been perfect. Or either if they had just did it on Christmas, they were scared of, I guess, Wonder Woman. I don't know. Who cares? I would have rather watched that than Wonder Woman. I'll just say that right now. But yeah, I don't know why they moved it, to be honest with you. But yeah, resurgence of people like that. Well, people like that. Eddie Murphy. That was a big entertainment story that we liked. But yeah, look. There are always stories that should be covered more. The income inequality in this country should be covered more, but that's just a blanket statement. But it's driving the point home this Christmas time. Have you seen those food lines? Like
for like people getting like free food?
Yeah, I brought it up earlier. Yeah, like food banks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, miles in cars.
Mm-hmm.
Miles. Like the razor thin edge that people in this country live in is crazy. And this pandemic has brought that point home. Paycheck to paycheck is a real thing. It's a damn sure real thing. And people don't say it the way they need to be saying it, but that's how they say it. One other political thing, the kids at the border ain't getting enough coverage this year.
No, they're not.
Their parents are still missing.
And some of them are still in cages. And exactly. I'm going to tell you what else didn't get enough coverage this year. Gosh, I hate saying illegal aliens. But ones
immigration.
Those who got captured,
mm-hmm.
especially the women, the
mm-hmm.
fact that they were removing their uteruses and giving them hysterectomies, that was not covered enough.
This is crime against humanity. Those people should be. It should be like how they tried the Nazis after World War II. Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
I heard about that too. Yeah, that's a war crime, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah,
that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
No. So ICE just out here with people ready to cut on hand. You just picking up people, putting them in cages, and then saying, "Oh, you're next. We're just going to remove your uterus."
Yep.
Absolutely ridiculous. So they can't procreate while they're still here.
Any sports story and horrible. I mean, they all need to be in jail. So let me just not even try to move on beyond saying that. Any sports story you felt like didn't get enough play? I mean, we've talked about a couple the Olympics and all that, but specifically, somebody you want to give some shine to?
No.
No, I'm gonna keep it a buck. We already talked about NCAA. We already talked about the Olympics. What I will say is for sports, NFL, it always gets play, and that's fine. But They had all the time in the world to handle the coronavirus properly. And look, they've gotten through the season, but nah, this was a fail. This was a fail. And the NCAA needs to be disbanded. How about that? Like point blank period. The way they've handled, especially college football and college basketball. Nah, they're no longer a viable institution to me. Period. World Series baseball, they tried to do it. They ain't get enough coverage, but ain't really nothing to cover. Like, y'all just went out here and tried to make some money. And Houston Astros, y'all are glad the pandemic happened because y'all are cheaters. That didn't get enough play either. They should be kicked out of the league. Sham, what are you looking forward to next year?
I don't know. Like, I'm still thinking that it's going to be more of the same as this year. I think people are like trying to just throw away 2020 and move into 2021, but you don't know what 2020 could bring. It could be worse. Yeah. I mean, I hate to say that, but like rushing to get to 2021 is like to me, it's just crazy because there's nothing that indicates that anything's going to be different, except for there's a vaccine.
Thank you.
And and there's already issues with that.
Very, very. And thank you for saying that. And you are correct. Look, the vaccine is not rolling out as quickly in America as it's supposed to. Everywhere else is getting it out like it's supposed to. I mean,
just as usual.
As usual. You know what? One thing in general, it's not even a story. American unexceptionalism. Like American mediocrity. Everyone's danced around it, but we haven't said the words. We are a trash country.
We're trash.
We're trash.
We're trash.
In 2020, like completely pulled the blinds back, kicked us on the floor, put a spotlight on our face, a flashlight on our face. This is a trash country for real. Full of trash, selfish individuals. Like point blank, period. And, that's going to continue to follow us into 2021 and beyond. But the point is, the rest of the world was like, I mean, we've been saying it, but now you can't even run from it. No. Because the statistics, data, like everything else, like shows y'all can't put one foot in front of the other. All the other countries get the vaccine out. We can't get the vaccine out. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can't do basic things. We can't test. When it first happened, we can't test. We can't get basic things to our citizens in a, reasonable amount of time.
Yeah, so because we have dick swinging contests in our government.
And we argue about everything. We are the country that's like, the virus isn't real. Or put a mask on. Why? You know what? This is trampling my rights. Everybody else in the world is like, your rights. This is a disease.
Right.
What y'all talking about?
Everybody else in the world is like, what rights?
What rights? You know what right? We like the right to live.
Land of the free, home of the stupid.
I don't know, stupid. Right. So, yeah. Now, what I am looking forward to the fact that we at least were able to identify and produce a vaccine. To your point, no, you're not going to flip a light switch on January 1st, have your black eyed peas, because we all black people around here. White people, look that up. But that's the thing. Y'all should do that. On New Year's Day and everything's going to turn back to normal, we know that. But the vaccine being there is a good sign. I want black people to take it. I'm doubling down on that, like tripling down, and especially the fact that we can't get it out to like people in general. That means that if it's inefficient, black people are going to suffer the worst, because that's what happens when stuff's not efficient. So if you can get it. But I'm looking forward to it. We're not going to return to normal next year. You're right. Probably 2022. But I'm also looking forward to the NCAA has already started. Now, there have been some problems. but I think we'll have a tournament next year. Would you agree with that?
Probably. A couple of schools have just canceled their entire seasons.
Yes, I did see that.
The Duke women's basketball team said, screw it, we're done.
Yes, Carol Lawson. And is this her?
This is her first year.
This is her first year, right? So she was like, look, I'm not doing that under these circumstances. The Olympics next year, as we talked about. Looking forward to that.
Okay, I'm definitely looking forward to that. Yeah. I love Olympic sports.
Yeah. And they've had plenty of time prepared, and they will have it. Like, they are not playing. They're going to have it. Any entertainment thing? I have two big entertainment ones, but any entertainment ones you look forward to next year?
Hopefully I'll get to see Black Widow and maybe the next Fast and the Furious.
You'll definitely see the next Fast and Furious because that's already in the can, and they said next year there's no more filming or anything. They're just going to put it out. And the people in Europe are going to movies again, as evidenced by Wonder Woman. So you'll see that. Black Widow, yeah, that's a good question. Yeah. For me, many states that knew it, the Sopranos thing, March. And also Coming to America, March.
I thought that was understood.
Yeah, that was understood. but the fact that they both were in March, I like that. So March is going to be a big year. Or excuse me, a big month next year. Looking forward to also the I guess the resumption of, because like even tennis, golf to a certain extent, like they moved the Masters to August and all that this year, or maybe it was later than that. I'm not sure, but actually, no, I'm sorry. It was like a couple months ago.
It was literally like October, November.
Yeah, October. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's normally April, so I'm just getting stuff all confused. But point being, the resumption of those type of sports, just to get things back on a regular cycle and see how we do with it, I am looking forward to that. I'm looking forward, quote unquote, because it's already started. The NBA season has started. I'm looking forward to seeing how they conclude it and how they go through it. I think they'll be fine because the NBA, again, handled it well. Looking forward to the Super Bowl. The NFL season, for better or for worse, completed.
Eagles trash.
I mean, Raiders, not trash, but disgraceful. The dumbest team in the entire country, and had the dumbest end of game sequence that I've seen in quite some time.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, on Christmas, on the day after, on Boxer Day, as they call it.
It was.
Yeah. And Sham and I were talking, and look, Sham is sweet, and we were talking about a whole other stuff. And I was like, I'm done talking football for the day. I will talk to you later, because I was that upset, and I wasn't even watch. I had it on mute. But anyway, John Gruden, bring an OC in the. Sham, I'm glad we did bring up our teams. The Carson Wentz news has been not good. You know what you're looking forward to? Jalen Hurts.
I'm looking forward to not having to watch the Eagles again until next August. That's what I'm looking forward to.
When I saw the report that Carson Wentz was quote unquote unhappy with the directions of it was one of those like, you were the direction of the team. What are you unhappy about?
He fell back on that and retracted. He was like, "Oh, I just want what's best for the team." You know how they do.
Mm-hmm.
But what was funny is I was watching the game the other day, and they were talking about how much the players on the team love how Jalen Hurts communicates and how good he is at reading the defense. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
They already like Team Hurts.
I mean, we've heard now twice in 2 seasons that they don't like you. This is proof. They don't like you and they like him.
Like, this kid can read the defense way better than you.
Speaking of people that's not liked, and we're certainly not doing all NFL, Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, there's no question that he should have been cut. However, it is just sad that a third pick in the draft doesn't even get to play his entire rookie contract.
I agree.
2 years and out.
You want to talk about not liking somebody? How you going to cut somebody in the middle of the week between week 16 and week 17.
And this is your week to make the playoffs.
Right.
Like, there's a whole playoff contention going on. You just like, yeah, out.
They said he did it. That's why he did it. Like, I want to bring some urgency to the team, and I already don't like this guy. Get him out the building.
Yeah, like if we win the division, he don't deserve to be on the team. It goes to the playoffs. So,
by the way, my story about, or the story that I was laughing about a few episodes ago, about how he was so proud of himself for throwing for 300 yards, that is absolutely true. That has been confirmed. And so, yeah, Dwayne Haskins, that amongst other, Sham, I didn't know this until this week. All kinds of horrible stories have come out about him. Like, talk about kicking somebody while they're down. Sham, apparently his draft day party, he had it at a bowling alley. He's from here, so it's probably somewhere like in Greenbelt or something.
It was probably in Temple Hills
or something like that. Sham, apparently he was charging his friends and family to come to the party.
The bowling alley on Route 5 in Marlow Heights.
Right. You shouldn't be charging me to come there if it wasn't a party.
What are you doing? It was Rock and Bowl, $10 a head.
Right. Come on, man. And this is your draft party. So by definition, this is the party that announces you're going to have all the money in the whole world. I'm not coming to you for money, but the point being, you're going to charge me to see you get all the money in the whole world?
Hey, man, I ain't get my first check yet. I'll spot y'all. I'll get y'all later.
My God. That man, yeah. I told somebody, I want to live inside Dwayne Haskins' mind. Apparently, it's a circus, and it's a lot of fun in there.
Yeah, but, I was talking about him to my hairstylist earlier, and I had to compare him to Jamarcus Russell a little bit.
Everyone did. It's a natural comparison.
Oh yeah, because both of them clowns had like the world was their oyster, and they just chose to not be interested in football at all.
Yeah. I mean, Sham, I think I mentioned it briefly on the show before, but there's a story that the Oakland Raiders coaches at the time, gave Jamarcus Russell a tape and said, hey, go home this weekend, study film, and let us know what you thought. The tape was blank. And that young man came back and told them that he learned a lot from the tape. And that was all they needed to know about Jamarcus Russell. I don't think I've ever told the story from beginning to end like that, but yes. That is a true story that has been corroborated by multiple people. And that's the kind of stuff Dwayne Haskins was on, apparently. But I mean, we went on our sports tangent. I am looking forward to Russ with the Wizards, even though we are 0-4. I'm looking forward to us going into 2021 having fired Scott Brooks as our coach. But I love having Russ on the Wizards. And I'm looking forward to that as well. And then politically, finally, I'm looking forward to a new president. Like, my God. Listen, 45 has done wonders for fodder for our show. The good news is he won't go away. He'll still be on Twitter. It will be less impactful because he won't be the president anymore, but I may bring up 45 now and again.
All right.
Yeah.
Food for thought.
Listen, it's been a great year, hasn't it? No, wait. It's been a crazy year.
It's had some hills and valleys.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't throw 2020 away completely. Some good things have happened along with a lot of bad ones.
A lot of bad ones. Yeah. And for us personally, and but but for the show, we've been able to continue the show. That's been good. We've been able to continue the show. Zoom, before the pandemic, we were like, we don't want to do Zoom. We want to be together. We want to be in the same room. Sham, how many times have I seen you this year?
5.
I believe less. I'm going to say 3. And think I can remember 2. Me watching the game, us watching the game, and the photo shoot. Now, one more may have technically happened in 2020, but it was close. If that was close. So
perhaps.
Yeah. So yeah, we've only been in the same room 2 times. And that's our synergy, guys. That's how we could do this.
We were in the same room when we did when we talked about Kobe Bryant.
Okay, so that was clearly January.
Yeah.
So I think we did our first 2 episodes together.
Right, and then we didn't.
So 4, in my opinion, that it's 4. Yeah, those 2 and then the 2 I just said. Yeah, there you go. 4 times the whole year.
Man,
that's what kind of year it's been.
Thank you, Zoom.
Thank you, Zoom. and thank you, Sham, for giving me a mic. So I got yo.
And thank you, listeners, for joining us this year for all of these episodes of the Stop Playing podcast with Sham and Shaka. This one was a little different. We were just kind of rolling around. But hey, thanks for sticking in there with us. Visit us on www.stopplayinpodcast.com and we will lead you to where you can listen to all of the episodes. You can also check us out on YouTube and on Instagram and Facebook at Stop Playing Podcast. As we always say, keep your chips on the plate. No double dipping unless it's the podcast. And we'll see you next year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Stop playing.